All right, welcome back to part 2 of the Pizza Podcast, Christian and Johnny.
It's a whole week and you're wearing the same clothes.
Oh, dude, super comfy. Wait, did you change? Crud.
You don't change clothes in a week? Dang, you left this pizza here.
It's
good.
Sitting. We left everything.
It's good.
We left everything exactly how it was.
I left my Bible here.
Yeah.
I missed this thing. Dude, look how warm this thing is. It's not because I had it in my disc golf bag and never read it for a year and let it get bounced around in my disc golf bag.
Your Bible was in your disc golf bag?
This one was, yeah.
Why?
And it got beat up. I liked the idea of being in nature and if I wanted to read, but I was preoccupied playing disc golf and didn't do that. So it just got beat up for nothing. So it looks like I use it a lot.
Mine, unfortunately, looks really clean still. Actually, no, it doesn't. Yeah. Good. Put some wear and tear on your Bible. It should be worn. Mine isn't as worn as, Sabrina's. Actually, Sabrina's on her third.
Yeah.
Her covers fell off.
She's like an actual Christian or something.
Right? Ugh, Bible reader. My mom's Bible was like that. It looked like it had been through the war and then some. Mm-hmm. The whole cover was faded, cracked, and it was one of the older ones. It was leather bound. And
I have a King James from my great grandmother, and it smells old. I love it.
Yeah, that classic,
ancient, so ancient,
biblical script smell.
Yeah, 60, 70 years, so ancient.
So ancient. Yeah. But yes, we are back talking about Esther, part 2. If you missed part 1, go back and watch it or listen to it. If you didn't, here's a quick recap.
There's Xerxes.
Yeah, nailed it. He's a king, right?
He's a king.
Good.
He's got a queen, Vashti.
One of them.
They have, I would say the one.
Yeah, at the time.
Sounds like there's only one. They have a boy-girl separate feast banquet things going on, separate parties.
Bachelorette.
Not co-ed. And then Xerxes is like, yo, Vashti, come up in here. I want to show you off. And
just wearing your crown.
Potentially. And she's not feeling it. So then
Maybe they didn't have wine at the women's party. It only says that the king and his guys were drinking wine.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the problem.
Maybe.
They should have shared the royal wine with the women.
And then she would have been like, okay.
Yeah. I thought you'd never ask.
Yeah.
And then the whole story would have just never happened.
True.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
If Vashti had just done what she was told and paraded herself around in front of a bunch of drunken men strangers.
Honored her husband. But no, she didn't want to honor her husband.
None of this would have ever happened.
Yeah. So she was decrowned, dequeened, and they sent forth to find another queen. They found Esther. Esther was, her parental figure was Mordecai. He was around the king's gate a lot. They pick Esther, Esther's new queen. She bathes in perfume. No, it doesn't. We don't know. It's
soaks.
Yeah.
For 6 months. For 6 months, she soaks in perfume and cosmetics.
Yeah. Mordecai hears about an assassination attempt, and he helps stop it by talking to Esther, and Esther relays the message. Then what else? This guy named Haman gets honored, and all these other people are supposed to bow down to him. One guy does not. Oh, it's this guy Mordecai that we learned about. Because of this, and they knew Mordecai was a Jew, Haman and the king together make this joint, mainly because of Haman's hatred, put out this decree. They're going to kill the Jews within a year on a certain date. That's where we are. Esther's a Jew too, but no one knows. Oh, and then so Mordecai gets the news to Esther through the eunuchs. And Esther's like, oh, stop wearing sackcloth, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, crazy lady, we're going to die, and you better help. And she's like, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. Even though I would die if I go to the king, I'll go ahead and do it. If I die, I die. It's pretty good, right?
You forgot about fasting.
Oh, yeah. They
Go ahead,
both
cover that up while I finish this last piece.
They both. Who came up with fasting tea, Mordecai or Esther?
Esther.
Esther was telling Mordecai to have them fast while Esther and her ladies also fast, or is it just Esther? So that they're all fasting for 3 days, and then after the 3 days, we're gonna figure out what happens. That's where we are.
Well said, Johnny.
Yeah.
It's almost like we waited a full week before picking up immediately where we left off just minutes ago. Esther and her maids have been fasting for 3 days. Mordecai and all of the Jews in Susa, where the king is located, were also fasting for 3 days and nights. And after those 3 days, Esther said she was going to go in and try and talk to the king and hope that she doesn't get killed. It says on the third day, Queen Esther, put on her royal robes and stood.
Yours says queen?
Mine says queen.
Cool.
Yours doesn't?
No.
Really?
Yeah. On the third day, Esther put on her royal robes.
Oh, wait, you know what?
Oh.
Mine doesn't say queen.
I mean, she's still the queen. It's fine.
I know, but you know what? That's interesting.
Is it?
I don't know. Could have been. But anyway, on the third day, Esther put on her royal robes and stood in the inner court of the palace in front of the king's hall. The king was sitting on his royal throne in the hall facing the entrance. Why would they say that? In what scenario would the king not be facing the entrance? Were there kings that had their thrones like back to the entry door?
I'm kind of thinking the opposite also. Like, why is he always on the throne? Like, how often is he just on the throne? That would not be fun.
He's not always on the throne because he's got concubines and stuff.
He could still be on the throne and have concubines and stuff.
That's true. But he's got to go to the bathroom.
You can still go to the bathroom.
No way, dude. Where does the king go to the bathroom?
Where's the term the porcelain throne come from?
I don't know. I'm wondering now. Do you think he had one of those toilet couch combination thrones where he didn't even have to get up?
That would suck. That'd be so boring. That life would suck so bad.
Where did they go to the bathroom? Actually, where did anybody go to the bathroom? They didn't have toilets, right?
I'm sure they have a system. They came up with a system at some point, somewhere.
What, better than the hole in the ground?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but for like the king, it's not like he's going to walk outside and go to the bathroom because, I mean, that leaves him vulnerable, right? So where in the palace?
Special outside courtyard. I don't know.
Maybe in the garden? That's how they fertilized it all?
That's gross.
Dude, think about it. Like, this just came to me, and I'm like baffled. We always miss those kinds of little details, but they didn't have plumbing.
No, I'm sure they have some kind of running water system. Like, hey, you go in this area, but like there's just a constant little. I don't know.
You think a river ran through the middle of the palace that they
like you could
pooped
a
in?
man-made, not a river, but drainage system. I don't know.
Where did the king poop?
I don't know. I don't care.
I want to know.
I don't care.
Where did the king poop? We're going to have to revisit that. I want to know.
All right.
At any rate, it said the king was sitting on his royal throne in the hall facing the entrance. What scenario would there be a king whose throne wasn't facing the entrance? What kind of king would have his back to the entrance?
I don't know.
I don't...
You want details or you don't want details?
Do you have details?
Where's your line? No, you like... Either there's not enough details and you want to know more, or there's too much details and it's too much.
I can't figure it out.
You're like, yeah, I don't want to know that detail.
I want the details to be just right.
Yeah.
I'm a Goldilocks Bible reader. When the king saw Queen Esther standing in the court, this is at the point where she was either going to be killed or not. Because she put on her royal robes. She stood in the inner court of the palace in front of the king's hall. That's dead man territory. When the king saw Queen Esther standing in the court, he was pleased with her and held out to her the gold scepter that was in his hand. So that's pretty cool. So Esther approached and touched the tip of the scepter. Why?
It's just one of those things. And that's just what they do. It's just customary. Like accepting the
accepting the gift of getting your life spared.
Yeah.
All right. Then the king asked Esther what she wanted. He said, what do you want? He said she could ask for anything up to half the kingdom, and it would be granted to her.
I know you're going to ask. Why not ask for half the kingdom and give it to the Jews? Problem solved.
I honestly didn't even think of that. That's freaking genius. Wow. That would have just solved everything right there.
I know. Because he doesn't ask this one time. He doesn't mention that.
No, he asks it like nonstop. He's like,
yeah.
He's like, I'll give you half the kingdom. I'll give you half the kingdom. I'll give you half the kingdom.
And not once. He's like, wait, half the kingdom? Wait, if the Jews could have half the... Wait.
Yeah, but then they still would have been killed.
I guess.
Because you can't take back a royal decree.
I guess.
So they'd have half the kingdom for a year, living large.
And then you could build
Then they'd be all dead.
But then you could build up an army and revolt. And you come up with a plan, at least.
It sounds just like the scenario of, do you remember King Herod and his wife and the daughter danced and the king was like, oh, your dancing was so good that I'll give you anything you want up to half the kingdom. And she's like, I want JTB's head.
Yeah.
That's kind of what this reminded me of when he's like, I'll give you anything you want up to half a kingdom.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was like the customary thing. Like that was the most you could ever ask for a king.
Half the kingdom.
Was half the kingdom.
It's like, well, I am queen. I should have half of it already.
That's a lot though. That's like 63 and a half provinces.
But if she's queen, the way we think of queens, she should already have half. Like why?
She
why
has
is it...
all. She already owns it. She's co-owner.
Yeah. Or she should be, but
She should be. She's not though. She's very much nowhere near.
Yeah.
I still don't understand that dynamic. So anyway, Esther didn't die, thankfully. The king says, what can I do for you? I'll give you up to half the kingdom. And Esther just asked the king and Haman to come to a banquet she prepared for them. They had a lot of banquets.
Yeah.
Esther requested the king and Haman to come to the banquet she prepared for them that day. So she already prepared the banquet for them before she even went in and asked, based on the way this is worded. Mm-hmm. So she had faith that the king wasn't going to kill her. Either that or after fasting for 3 days, she was just like, I'm having a banquet. We're going to have a big feast.
Well, a lot of prep would go into that, I think. So if you're having a banquet the next day, you need...
But this is that day.
Yeah, so you have to prep beforehand. Even if it's not going to happen, if that's your plan, it's got to be ready.
That's true. Well, they went. And it says, as they were drinking wine, the king asked Esther again what she wanted up to half the kingdom. And she invited the king and Haman to another banquet the next day.
If she would have said yes to half the kingdom the first time, and then if he asked it again, can you get half and then half of the next half? So then you have like 75%?
I don't think it would have worked that way.
Why?
Because when she would have said what she wanted, it's like a genie, you get one wish. And
But she already got a wish, and now she's got another wish?
She didn't get a wish, she just invited them to dinner.
That was the wish.
No, it wasn't.
She
said, come to the banquet. Yeah. And then
again, Esther answered, my wish and my request is, if I found favor, come to my banquet. That was her wish.
Well, maybe she gets 3
and
wishes.
She gets another, yeah. So if she would have said, like, yeah, I'll take half, and then she still has favor, and he says it again, just take half of that half, and you have 75%.
No, because she knows that she's got to get the king fed, full of food and drink, just like Ruth did to Boaz before she asks anything really important. You got to get the man comfortable. Yeah. Food, drink, good. Let's talk. It's a universal law. It's been even from the biblical times. As they were drinking wine, the king asked her again. So she invited the king and Haman to another banquet she would prepare for them the next day. So she went above and beyond. So she didn't even just feed him and give him drink one day. She did it twice.
Yeah.
So then it says, Haman went out that day happy and in high spirits. But when he saw Mordecai at the king's gate, Mordecai in the king's gate again, maybe he was cuffed to it. I don't know.
You want to go there again? A week later,
A week.
you can't. The thought doesn't say maybe he works there. Does it cross your mind at all?
No, it does not.
Okay.
I don't think he works there.
Okay. You don't have any kind of chief official, nothing?
Nothing.
Okay.
So he saw Mordecai at the king's gate and observed that he neither rose nor showed fear in his presence. And he was filled with rage against Mordecai. But it says he restrained himself and went home. So I think after getting the decree to kill all the Jews, he was expecting Mordecai to be scared of him.
Nothing.
Mordecai wasn't having it.
No.
Mordecai knew though. He's like, bro,
We got some stirred up.
we got an ace in the sleeve. In the sleeve,
Yeah.
right? Is that it? Ace
Yeah.
up the sleeve.
Yeah.
Ace up the sleeve.
Yeah.
So it says, then Haman called together his friends and his wife Zeresh. I think he was just boasting about himself, bragging that like he was the only one to get invited to Esther's banquet with the king. Like, what a tool.
Yeah.
Who calls your friends together just to brag about yourself?
Yeah, I think it's...
Is it common?
I think so.
Really?
Like, hey, I just graduated. Come to my graduation party. I'm so smart. Look at me. Hey, I did this awesome achievement. We're going to celebrate. Look how awesome. This promotion I just got. To an extent.
But a graduation party isn't like bragging. It's celebrating an achievement.
Hey,
It says-
maybe...
It says he called together his friends and his wife and boasted. He's like boasting about himself.
Yeah, it's
Let's see, 9.
still a celebration.
Haman went out that day. Neither showed fear in his presence. He was filled with rage. Calling together his friends and Zeresh, his wife, Haman boasted to them about his vast wealth, his many sons, and all the ways the king had honored him, and how he had elevated him above the other nobles and officials. And that's not all, Haman added. I'm the only person Queen Esther invited to accompany the king to the banquet she gave, and she has invited me along with the king tomorrow. But all this gives me no satisfaction as long as I see that Jew Mordecai sitting at the king's gate. If he was working, he wouldn't be sitting at the gate. He's always sitting at the gate. A good employee isn't sitting on the job, unless they work at a desk in an office.
Or like a parking gate.
There's a toll gate?
Yeah. They're always sitting.
They are. That would be a rough job. Yeah, I don't know. Might be chill. But then his wife Zeresh and all his friends said to him, have a gallows built 75 feet high, which is 50 cubits, and ask the king in the morning to have Mordecai hanged on it.
I like how typically you would flip it. You'd read it 50 cubits, which is 75 feet.
Yeah, I know.
So it's 75 feet. By the way, if you didn't know.
Just in case you wanted me to convert it to biblical measurements,
If you want to know the cubits, I got you.
it's 75 feet, but 50 cubits for the layman. Then go with the king to the dinner and be happy. This suggestion delighted Haman, and he had the gallows built.
Yeah.
So 75 feet, 7.5 stories tall.
It's huge.
That's
entirely
wicked huge.
Entirely unnecessary. And if it's gallows, you can have some strong rope.
I don't think it's the
And a
gallows
strong-
that you're thinking of.
and
But
a
either way,
strong
you got to have.
beam.
Even if it's a pole 75 feet
That's
high,
crazy.
you'd still have to have some supporting ropes.
But if it's a pole that high, that pole isn't staying up.
But think about this: 75 feet, 7.5 stories. That's taller than like the golden arches you see when you're driving down the highway and you see like the McDonald's. Like, you know, they always put it on like this high post that you can see from anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, and that one's only, like, those are probably only 30, 40 feet high. Maybe,
I mean, I guess it depends on the one.
maybe a little taller. I don't know, but 75 feet high is, you're up there. So anyway, he had the gallows built, and his whole plan was to have Mordecai, go to the king in the morning, have Mordecai hung on
So
it.
if it's gallows, that's where there's a platform, right? And then you have the
That's-
rope,
yeah.
and then you drop the door.
That's typically what gallows are, yeah. So
So if it's gallows, is it a really long rope, and how far are they falling? Or is it still just a regular sized rope, but they're just hanging way up high?
what if it's a rope and there's a door and they fall onto a pole
Wow.
before the rope runs out? So before like 6 inches before the rope ends. So they go
You'd have to have
into
a couple poles.
They go into the pole, and then their neck like breaks. So they get impaled and hung at the same time.
Would their neck break, or would the pole stop, like having a force to stop?
I don't know.
I think the pole would stop.
It depends on how far they fall first.
It's pretty
If
graphic.
they fall high,
This is graphic.
it really is. It says impaled on a pole. I know they say gallows, and I always picture it like the westerns, where you have the door where they.
It's interesting you pictured westerns. I'm still picturing like medieval time.
I picture westerns because that's where you see it most in TV shows and movies. I don't see I can't remember too many medieval movies.
Maybe.
I've seen a lot more westerns than medieval movies, but I mean, same difference.
Yeah, I just want to know where that platform is. If it's 75 feet high, if it's gallows,
And he had it built overnight.
like you have to be like, all right, climb this ladder.
There's
we're
no way
hanging.
it had to be a pole because he had it built overnight.
How do you hang? How do you get
He
someone
had
that high
a
up?
75-foot thing built overnight. That's not going to be like some
But if it's a
elaborate
pole-
gallows.
Okay, if it's a pole, how are you getting them on that pole?
I think you would.
It's beside his house. That's also 75 feet high up.
I don't know.
Probably. Because it's by his house. It's like
I
in
think
his
you would
backyard.
put him on the pole and then hoist the pole up, kind of like they did like with the cross, like crucifying people. They nail you to the cross on the ground and then tilt it up, have ropes and pull it up straight.
So how would you make that?
A 75-foot pole, though, bro. Like, I don't even know how you would pull that up with ropes. That's crazy. That's crazy.
And where is it laying down in the meantime? 75 feet one way.
Just on the ground, in the street.
It's basically in his backyard, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But his whole goal was to ask the king in the morning to have Mordecai hanged on it, and then go with the king to the dinner and be happy.
Yeah.
Here's where it gets real fun. That's chapter 5. Chapter 6, I think, is one of my favorite chapters because it's just, it's so humorous. Like, I don't even, like, God must have been laughing so hard at this. It says, that night the king could not sleep, so he ordered the book of the Chronicles, the record of his reign, to be brought in and read to him. So, like, for me, that's like the equivalent of, like, going back through your high school yearbook.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I can't sleep, so
The
read me the stories about myself.
Yeah. I think Christian Holman Standard said like the daily records. So it's like just a regular
Diary.
day-to-day.
Yeah, like Dear Diary.
So it's just like, just give me the boring crap so I can go to sleep better. Is basically what.
I think his day-to-day was so boring, or did he want to be entertained since he couldn't sleep?
That was what Christian Holman Standard was making it seem like.
And why would the king have someone read it to him instead of just reading it for himself?
Maybe he can't read.
You think Xerxes couldn't read? It's possible.
It is, yeah.
But get this, though.
But it's also trying to sleep, so it's like, read to me so I fall asleep, I think.
And this is crazy, the timing. That all of a sudden he can't sleep, so he asks this book of Chronicles to be brought out and read to him. Like, at this particular specific point in time, the night before Haman was going to try and get Mordecai killed. So it says, it was found recorded there in this book that Mordecai had exposed Bigthana and Theresh, two of the king's officers who guarded the doorway, who had conspired to assassinate King Xerxes. Then the king said, what honor and recognition has Mordecai received for this? And they said, nothing. It's just the timing. It has to be a God thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Even though God was never mentioned, that's why I was saying, like, if he's never mentioned in this book,
it's evident he's working.
He's all over it.
Yeah.
But they don't call it out specifically, but you can, like, everything had to be perfectly timed.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. And it's funny. This is super funny.
Because I wrote that actually note specifically about this chapter. While God is not credited or even mentioned, it's cool to see that Mordecai was not honored until this exact time.
And this is years later.
Yeah.
So it's pretty funny. So they said nothing has been done for him. So the king said, who's in the court? And then it says, now Haman had just entered the outer court of the palace to speak to the king about hanging Mordecai on the gallows he had erected for him.
Yeah.
So, like, at that split second when the king is like, oh, who's in the court? Haman walks in. Like that's wild. So then his attendants answered, Haman is standing in the court. Bring him in, the king ordered. Then Haman entered. The king asked him, what should be done for the man the king delights to honor? So he asks Haman.
Because Haman thinks it's about him.
Yeah, Haman's such an idiot.
Yeah.
So Haman walks in, like, oh yeah, we're going to get Mordecai killed. Cool.
Yeah. Like, oh, you want to honor someone?
So the king.
And I'm the only one having dinner with you?
Coincidentally, Haman is the one who walks in at that very specific point in time in the middle of the night or early morning when the king couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
So it's just so perfect. The timing is so perfect. So, and then it says, now Haman thought to himself, who's there that the king would rather honor than me? So he's thinking the king is asking him how he should honor himself. Like, what an idiot. He answered the king, for the man the king delights to honor, have them bring a royal robe the king has worn and a horse the king has ridden, one with a royal crest placed on its head. Then let the robe and horse be entrusted to one of the king's most noble princes. Let them robe the man the king delights to honor and lead him on the horse through the city streets, proclaiming before him, this is what is done for the man the king delights to honor. If he's thinking like this is for himself, this would basically be like his dreams come true.
Yep.
Which is why it's so freaking hilarious. He says, go at once, the king commanded Haman. And he even told Haman to do it, which is, gosh, it's so freaking hilarious. You can't even script this stuff. Get the robe and the horse and do just as you have suggested for Mordecai the Jew, who sits at the king's gate, not on my payroll. Do not neglect anything you have recommended. Dude, Haman must have flipped his wig, like inside. Yeah. He couldn't do anything outside, but like internally, I would love to have seen the look on his face, because he just told the king like all of his dreams, and then he's got to go and do it for Mordecai, the guy he absolutely hates and was just trying to go and have killed minutes before all this happened. Like insanity. It's so freaking funny. So Haman got the robe and the horse. He robed Mordecai and led him on horseback through the city streets, proclaiming before him, this is what is done for the man the king delights to honor. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. What are the chances that, like, the night before Haman was going to have Mordecai killed, he wouldn't be able to go to sleep, the king wouldn't be able to sleep, goes back through his little yearbook, memory book, record, realized nothing had been done for Mordecai for saving his life, and then all of a sudden want to honor him. That's like the movie Training Day. You ever see Training Day? Mm-hmm. With Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke? It's a good movie. In that movie, he's left at like these guys' house. They're in a bad neighborhood. It's like a gang neighborhood, whatever. And he's like a new cop, and Denzel is like the veteran cop. So they're going into this really bad neighborhood that the police don't go in. And then Denzel like abandons him there. So then he's with all these gangsters, and they're at the table, and then he's looking around. They're like, "Oh, he's not here anymore, dude." So then they go to try and kill him, and they put him like they like put him in the bathtub with a gun in it to his head, and they're like, "Oh no, wait, let me get his wallet." Like right before they go to kill him, and they take his wallet, and he's like, "Oh, isn't this a picture of your niece?" And he had like a picture of it, because earlier in the day he saved her from being raped in like an alleyway or something. And he had like a picture of her or her wallet or something on him. And they're like, "Yo, that's trippy." So then they asked him, and he's like, no, I saved her from being raped earlier today. And then he called her up, and he's like, "Did you skip school?" and all this other stuff. So she tells him that yeah, she skipped school, and this cop saved him. And that was like the split second that saved his life was that they just checked his wallet before.
Dang.
So it's like it's a cool movie. Not really for kids, but
no.
But it's a good movie. But the timing of it is very similar to that. Like, just about to die, they just happened to check his wallet, and the events that took place earlier in the day just happened to compile to that point that saved his life.
Wait, I thought you said this couldn't be scripted.
It can't. This happened before Training Day. Training Day was scripted after this.
Yeah.
Anyway, it is really, really cool. I just like how that happened. How narcissistic was Haman, though, to think the king was trying to honor him?
You wouldn't have done
What
the
a
same?
tool.
You wouldn't have done the same?
If the king was going to honor you, would he ask you what I should do? Wouldn't he have just said, hey,
Some people do. Like,
I want to honor you. What should I do? Like, what would you like?
when you go to a job interview and they say, how much would you like to get paid?
That's not the same. Yeah, your mic might be a little muffled. It's not the same as a job interview. Because like the king would just be like, hey, I want to honor you. What would you like? He would just ask him directly. He wouldn't say, what should I do for a man that I want to honor?
Yeah.
But either way.
If I were him, I would have thought it'd me too.
I think how it played out was hilarious.
Yeah.
I'll bet God got a good laugh out of that too. Haman goes and does all this stuff for Mordecai, and then it says...
Dang, I think I forgot this last week too.
Your mic?
Yeah.
That's okay, we can hear you.
For Esther part 1.
I don't know, I haven't seen it. Oh. You forgot it for Esther part 1?
Yeah.
You say last week. It's literally like... Actually, it's almost 40 minutes ago. But...
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
My mic is good enough for both of us.
Yeah.
So... It says, afterward, Mordecai returned to the king's gate. Mm-hmm. Always at the king's gate.
Mm-hmm.
But Haman rushed home with his head covered in grief and told Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends everything that had happened to him. So then his advisors and his wife said to him, since Mordecai, before whom your downfall has started, is of Jewish origin, you cannot stand against him. You will surely come to ruin. While they were still talking with him, the king's eunuchs arrived and hurried Haman away to the banquet Esther had prepared. That's chapter 6. Chapter 6 is funny. Like I got a big kick out of that one.
Well, I think it continues to be funny.
It does.
Like it's still the same sequence. Like this happens and now he's rushed over to this next spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the king and Haman were at Esther's banquet, drinking wine, the second day. And the king asked Esther what she wanted again, up to half the kingdom. Just like the third time. She should have been at that point, do you just want to give me half? Like, why do you keep mentioning it?
Yeah, it sounds like you're going to get
it. Sounds like there's a half of your kingdom you don't want.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Maybe it's her fault that they're not a good king and queen combo. He's like, I'm trying to give you half the kingdom. I want you to be my true queen. And she's just not taking the hit.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe he was a hopeless romantic.
Yeah.
And he was just
yeah,
trying to give her a love offering, and she's just not having it.
Yeah.
He's like, man, I'm going to all these banquets, doing what you want, just trying to give you half my kingdom. Come on, what's wrong with my kingdom that you don't want it? Like,
yeah,
is my kingdom not good enough for you? Man, how sad. I feel bad for Xerxes.
Yeah, man.
He was a hopeless romantic this whole time. Maybe. Then Esther asked the king to grant her life and the life of her people, spare her people, because they had been sold for destruction and annihilation. So King Xerxes asks her, where is the man who dared do such a thing? And Esther told him, it was Haman. So Haman got terrified. Like, imagine being at dinner and you just get like ratted out. Like
after all this has happened.
After all of this.
Yeah.
Crazy.
He thinks he's about to be honored and this top. It's like, oh crap.
Yeah, he's like, I'm the only one that was invited.
Yeah,
because you're dinner.
Yeah.
You are the dinner. Haman got terrified. And it says the king left his wine, got up in rage, and went out into the palace garden. So the king left his wine, got up in rage. That right there has got to be terrifying. When you
king's up mad.
When the king's that mad, how awkward would that make dinner? Because you're sitting there trying to eat and have a good time, and now all of a sudden your host is pissed at you.
Yeah.
Do you think Haman, when he saw the king get up, enraged and leave, do you think he got a few more bites of food in while he could? Because he knew what was going to happen?
No.
Because you know the party's over, so you might as well just hit the dessert table real quick.
Yeah, but then he's begging for his life. So he's trying to figure out a way to get out of it still. So he's not thinking about food.
I would have hit up the dessert table before starting to beg, because, I don't know. But, so it said Haman knew the king had already decided his fate, So when the king left, he stayed behind to beg Queen Esther for his life. Just as the king returned from the garden to the banquet hall, Haman was... Did yours say falling? Falling on the couch where Esther was reclining.
Yeah. I think it's funny. So ESV actually doesn't say reclining, but I read reclining in Home Christian
What's
Standard Version.
ESV say?
Just leaves out reclining. Like
Where Esther
on the
was-
couch. Just on the couch.
Oh.
But yeah, I like the thought of her. She's just chilling. Like,
But reclining?
yeah. She's like, hey, my work's done. I'm chilling.
So the king exclaimed, "Will he even molest the queen while she is with me in the house?" As soon as the words left the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face.
Golly, I thought you had the PG version. Molester sounds so extra.
If he's falling on the couch where Esther was reclining, he's basically laying on top of her.
Yeah. I'm just reading assault.
It says assault in yours? Read what yours says.
Will he even assault the queen in my presence, in my own house?
Assault.
Yeah.
It says, then Harbona, one of the king's eunuchs, attending the king, told the king that a gallows 75 feet high stands by Haman's house. He had it made for Mordecai, who spoke up to help the king. So then the king gave orders to hang Haman on it. So they did. And the king's fury subsided. So they impaled Haman on his own pole that he made for Mordecai. Or hung him on his own gallows. Whatever it was 75 feet high.
Still extreme. Yeah.
I think he got impaled on the pole just because Xerxes was that kind of guy. It says, as soon as the words left the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. It's like mafia style. I can just picture them coming up with like a bag and just putting it over his face.
Yeah.
Dragging him outside somewhere. So, yeah, as soon as the king identified Haman as an enemy, they just throw a sack over his face.
Dunzo. Yeah.
It's like a mafia hit. Yeah.
It was cool how Esther was careful with her words, though, too. She's like, oh, my people have been, this decree has been set up, blah, blah, blah. Like, she could have easily just been like, you did this, you blah, blah, blah. But the way she, worded it is like, this kind of happened, blah, blah, blah. Not putting blame on the king. It was a carefully worded.
Spare her people because they had been sold for destruction enough. Well, that's because they alluded, not even alluded, they made it clear that Mordecai told Esther's eunuch the exact amount of money that Haman was going to pay the king to have her people killed. So that's where it's saying, spare her life and the life of her people because they had been sold for destruction and annihilation.
So, yes, I'm saying the way she's wording it is clever. So she's not putting the blame on the king because it is him and Haman's fault for this decree.
The king didn't know that she was a Jew. She still hadn't told anybody. So this is first he's hearing of it.
Yeah.
Haman became a shish kebab, and the king's fury subsided. Man, talk about your all-time backfire. You go in all happy, making a gallows, thinking that you're honored, and you're going to go have Mordecai killed, and then within that same day, you're hanging on the pole or whatever that you created.
Yeah.
It says, that same day, King Xerxes gave Esther Haman's estate. So Haman was killed. King Xerxes gave his estate to Esther. And then Mordecai came into the presence of the king, and Esther told him how they were related. So the king gave Mordecai the signet ring that he reclaimed from Haman. So the signet ring that he gave Haman initially, that gave him all the authority and power, he took the ring off of his dead body and then gave it to Mordecai. So everything that Haman had, all the stuff that he was plotting against, all that bad stuff came back on Haman, and Mordecai got all the benefit. Which is crazy.
I would just point out it could have been taken off his live body before he died.
It could have, but it would be more fun to take it off the dead one. It's more impactful. Camera zooms in on the hand.
But then if you're thinking about it while he's alive and then the ring's taken off and he's like, no.
He takes his ring and then smack. Yeah, it's more dramatic. I'm trying to go for more theatrical.
Okay.
You think he was alive when he took it back?
I don't know. I just know. You said he was dead, and I'm like, oh, well.
Well, just because it made it sound like he was dead. King said, hang him on it. So they hanged Haman on the gallows he had prepared for Mordecai. That same day, King Xerxes gave Queen Esther the estate of Haman, enemy of the Jews, and Mordecai came into the presence of the king, for Esther had told how he was related to her. The king took off his signet ring, which he had reclaimed from Haman, and presented it to Mordecai. And Esther appointed him over Haman's estate. So Mordecai got his ring, his estate, had him killed, all without even knowing it. This one threw me off again because it says Esther again pleaded with the king, falling at his feet and weeping. She begged him to put an end to the evil plan of Haman the Agagite, which he had devised against the Jews. Then in verse 4 it says, Then the king extended the gold scepter to Esther, and she arose and stood before him. So he had to extend the scepter again? Did she break another law?
Well, anytime she's going up to him.
But isn't this all in like the same day? Everyone's still together? It says that same day.
It says that same day before this. But then after the signet ring in the estate, then Esther spoke again to the king. It could be the same day. I don't know. But
how bad would that suck if she went in and he didn't extend the scepter?
Yeah.
So she got Haman killed and then she died trying to go the second time. I feel like there's a detail here I'm missing. Mordecai came into the presence of... even Mordecai came into the presence of the king. So and the king gave him his signet ring. So I don't understand why he would need to extend the scepter again. Because right then it says Esther again pleaded with the king, falling at his feet and weeping. Because she's pleading on behalf of the people, right? The Jews. So he tells her to write another decree, however they want to word it, in the king's name, on behalf of the Jews as it seems right to them.
Which I find...
Because nothing the king has written can be revoked. So like the decree he already sent out earlier that Haman plotted, it can't be taken back. What were you going to say? Because I have a point I'm going to make, but you might be...
If they have a signet ring, they have authority. They don't really have to ask him. They can probably do... They can come up with something on their own.
Well, that's what he gave them permission to do, right? Just come up with something on your own.
Yeah.
So that's what they did. So it says, at once, the royal secretaries were summoned on the 23rd day of the third month. In my eyes, March 23rd. So like January is when all this started. This is now mid-March. Whatever. If it started in March, this would be June. Either way. Same difference between dates. So on the 23rd day of the third month, they wrote out all of Mordecai's orders to all 127 provinces in every language and tongue, and they sent them out on fast horses. When they call the royal secretaries, I mean, there's 127 provinces, and each province got their own letter. And then all of the different languages also had letters, like they had letters written in all these languages. So like at that point, I always picture it, like in my head, I picture it just like chaos, like whole rooms full of secretaries writing, dictating what he's saying. Like kind of like John Wick when they need to change an order to get all those people in the
operators.
Room. Yeah. Just like that's what I picture in my head. Because I mean, if you have that many letters to write, they didn't have a photocopier. They didn't have a copy machine.
Yeah.
Imagine having to hand write all this stuff in all these different languages. At least 127 letters. Even if they wrote one for each province, which I think they wrote more because there were a lot more languages. I just picture it being like chaos. Like based on what Mordecai wrote. The king's edict granted the Jews the right to assemble and protect themselves, to destroy, kill, and annihilate any armed force of any nationality or province that might attack them and their women and children, and to plunder the property of their enemies. Could they not defend themselves before? So this is when Mordecai had carte blanche to write whatever edict he wanted. He basically just wrote, okay, yeah, the Jews are going to get attacked, but now you guys can fight back. Would they not fight back before?
I'm sure they would, but now, beforehand, they probably would have had, to deal with the government and armies against them also. Now it's like, oh, now we can defend ourselves, so they're not like going against the government, right?
Yeah. So it says the day appointed for the Jews to do this was the 13th day of the 12th month. Say December 13th for simplicity. After this, the Jews in every province and in Susa celebrated and were filled with joy, and many people of other nationalities became Jews because fear of the Jews had seized them. So does it count if you become a Jew because you're scared that not being a Jew is going to get you killed, make you their enemy? Like, does it really count? Like, I'm Jewish.
If you really change, sure, but yeah, I would say
It literally
I
says
would say no.
other nationalities became Jews because fear of the Jews had seized them. So they just became Jews because they were afraid.
There's tons of Christians that are Christians because they're afraid.
Afraid of what? Going to hell?
Mm-hmm.
Just doesn't seem right. I mean, nobody wants to go to hell, but
I'm already there.
Christianity isn't like an insurance policy. At least it's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
Fire insurance?
That's
What they refer to it, yeah.
Yeah.
Mordecai sends these letters out to all the provinces saying that the Jews can fight back legally. And they can kill, destroy, and annihilate anybody who comes against them and all their enemies and plunder their goods. And December 13th, or the 13th day of the 12th month, is when it's all going down. So it's Royal Rumble style at this point. Now it is Purge Night because everyone can fight back.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. We had like a real life biblical Purge Night.
We talked about Purge one time.
Yeah, we had a couple of podcasts on Purge Night. Yeah, we were talking about schools and like do they have backup teachers planned?
Man, that was just so sad.
Real talk, that's what it is. On the 13th day of the 12th month, it's game time.
Mm-hmm.
So the enemies of the Jews tried to overpower them, but they were defeated. In a nutshell, the Jews struck down all their enemies.
Not all of them yet.
Well, I'm summing it up. We'll get into more detail. All the enemies on that day that came against them. So then Esther's like, hey, let's keep the ball rolling. So she asks the king if they could carry out the edict in Susa the next day as well and hang the 10 sons of Haman. Because remember Haman was bragging about how many sons he has?
Yeah.
He had 10. That's a lot of sons. So the King Xerxes wrote the edict, and the next day they killed the 10 sons of Haman and impaled them on poles in the gallows with their dad. And they killed another 300 of their enemies, but they didn't take any of the plunder.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says, overall, the Jews killed 75,000 enemies over these 2 days. Like in all the provinces and Susa. Susa did a 2-day purge night. But they didn't take any of the plunder. Why is that when they were perfectly legal and authorized to do that? Was it a religious thing? Was it at a principle?
Yeah, they're not there for the stuff. They're just to defend themselves.
Yeah,
well, they're not really
plunder's
defending
going to go to
themselves.
somewhere.
Yeah. I like to point out this one specific verse. The Jews struck all their enemies with the sword, killing and destroying them, and did as they pleased to those who hated them. Like, I don't know if them killing their enemies is a good thing, honestly. Like, the verse or term, like, was it, if you kill by the sword, you'll die by the sword, comes to mind. Like, I'm just like, I don't know if this is the right action to, like, it's like killing and destroying people. I'm like, I don't know if this is good.
Well, they're enemies. These are the people that were planning on killing them.
Yeah. We're supposed to love our enemies.
You're not supposed to let them kill you.
No. But that's why I'm like, I guess...
Yeah, but there are certain exceptions. Like, the Bible is full of murder. Like,
yeah,
wars and tons of battles. And,
correct.
like, even God gives directions and instruction to kill all of the men, women, children, animals.
And I think even plunder.
Leave nothing alive. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and plunder. Like,
yeah,
even God tells people to do that. So it's situation based.
Mm-hmm. But then it says, and did as they pleased. And that brings back the thoughts of like in Judges, like in Samson's, like the day when the Israelites did as they pleased. It's like those aren't good days. That was when they were misbehaving. So like, I don't know if this is necessarily a good thing.
You think they took it overboard?
I think so. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, God can still get things done, and it's good, but it's like I don't know if this particular. I don't know if it's good. If that makes any sense.
Well, it's good they didn't get annihilated. Their people didn't get annihilated.
Yeah.
And if there's enemies that are going to come against them, then it's good they defended themselves.
And it does emphasize here, it doesn't just say they killed them. It says they killed and destroyed them.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't understand the difference, but I do like the overemphasis.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill you and destroy you.
I don't know how to do that, but it's pretty cool.
Maybe you kill them and destroying them is like wiping out their entire genealogy, or like burning down their house, like making sure they don't even exist in history anymore.
All their yearbooks.
Because kill is their life, but destroy them is like, maybe it's like a deeper, like you erase them entirely.
Yeah.
So the Jews in the provinces killed their enemies on the 13th and rested on the 14th, making it a day of celebration and feasting and joy. The Jews in Susa killed their enemies on the 13th and 14th because they got the bonus day from the king. And then they made the 15th a day of resting and celebration and joy. So they celebrated 2 days instead of one. That's why they say like the Jews from all the other provinces have one holiday, and the Jews that are in Susa get two.
Yeah.
Bonus
And did you mention that the sons, Haman's sons, get put on the gallows or the stake also?
Yeah. Now, what happened to Haman's wife? So Haman got killed. The 10 sons got killed.
Yeah.
What happened to his wife? Because Mordecai owns his estate. So does that mean he owns his wife too?
That's a good question.
Maybe Mordecai took Haman's wife too. He took everything else.
Yeah, possible.
He got the dog, got the cat.
The wife, yeah.
Got the estate,
Yeah.
got the car.
Yeah. Marriage contract, hey, you're mine now. Maybe.
Because just like Ruth and Boaz, right? Boaz bought the estate from Naomi, and
Ruth
it came with Ruth, who became his wife.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
I think Mordecai. Oh man, that would have been an awkward relationship because she was the one telling Haman to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I don't know if I would trust that. I don't think I'd be able to sleep next to her.
I would
Be like, your husband died because of me, and all your sons. You want to go to bed?
I can't imagine she's killed somewhere too. Cause she also
She might have been rolled up into the enemies of the Jews and killed during the Purge night.
Yeah, I think so. Because she was definitely part of the plotting against Mordecai. She knew Mordecai also didn't like him.
I'm still curious why they didn't take the plunder though.
It was just nice of them not to.
But plunder's pretty cool.
That's just too much.
That's the good stuff.
I guess. But then it's like, you have so much crap now. What do you do with it?
What do you do with the crap you buy now? Just throw it somewhere in the house and...
They already have their own crap. Now they have extra crap.
But cool extra crap.
That might not be cool. I don't know.
You gotta have some cool stuff. I can just imagine now, like, if that happened nowadays, and, like, let's say you go take over, like, a neighborhood.
It's all worth it.
And then you go and you plunder their houses. You're taking, like, all their, like, oh, I don't have this video game. Oh, I don't have this one.
But I have all the video games I want.
They got this food. They got Takis in their fridge.
Why are Takis in the fridge?
You ever have them cold? They're good.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, dude, chill them. They're good. It's hot and cold at the same time. Put them in the fridge. Try it out. Game changer.
I don't think I can beat room temp.
I mean, room temp is solid.
Yeah.
But when they're chilled...
It's not better. Is it better? No. So there's no point. I already know it's not better. If it were better, you would say yes already. It's not better.
It's not worse.
It's worse.
No, it's kind of a cool contrast. I like contrast.
Is it really contrast though? Because the heat is not. It's different.
It's cold heat.
But it's not heat. It's spice.
Cold spice.
Yeah.
It's a new deodorant. Cold spice. Frozen Old Spice. Yeah. Just put your deodorant in the freezer. Oh, that could be something. Try that.
For what?
That would be cold. That would be uncomfortable. You put on like a frozen Old Spice.
You know what's uncomfortable is icy hot on the armpits.
Icy hot anywhere is uncomfortable.
Yeah, but it's worse.
The armpits and the groin and the eyes.
So bad.
Dude, it takes the icy right out of it and it's just hot.
Yeah, it's so stupid. What did I do? I did
Did you do an icy hot challenge?
Yeah, but it was
no.
At the same time we were eating habanero peppers.
I'm surprised you were gonna say a spoon of cinnamon or something.
No, it's habanero peppers.
We were doing the cinnamon challenge too.
I feel like there's something else to make it, because there's like icy hot. So we did the icy hot, and then we did habanero peppers. It was a miserable time. I feel like there's one other thing to match the icy part of icy hot.
There's nothing icy about it, dude. It just burns.
Yeah.
It was funny when I was in Little League. This is way back. I was probably 10, 12 years old, somewhere around there. And we were in the dugout during a game. For some reason, I don't know if it was a dare or what, but one of my buddies on the team, I think it was Ryan. Ryan, it might have been you, buddy. You would remember, I'm sure. But he put icy hot in his like cup during the middle of the game, like for no reason.
Yeah,
I think it was a dare. I'm pretty sure it was a dare.
Yeah, it'd be funny if he was like,
because they put icy hot.
Yeah.
In his groin area.
Yeah.
And he was in so much pain.
Yeah.
He had to be taken out of the game. He couldn't play anymore.
Yeah.
They actually took him out of the game and like, I don't know if they went to the hospital or just took him home.
Probably just home.
But he was crying in so much pain.
Yeah.
And we were all laughing like so hard.
Yeah.
And then the coach was like, "What are you thinking? Like, we're in the middle of a game and you're putting icy hot in your junk."
Yeah.
Oh, dude, and he was a good player too, man. We missed him that game.
And you lost.
I don't remember if we lost. I don't remember. Did we lose? I don't remember.
That's funny.
But yeah, I remember that whole scenario though, because it was like funny and scary at the same time, because we knew it was going to hurt, because you put it on your armpit or any of that stuff and it just burns. It's fire.
Yeah.
So like anywhere else would be terrible.
When I did the habanero thing too, I was like a jerk. I did more like a trick. So I still did a habanero pepper, but there's like, I think red's hotter than like orange. There's still habanero, but there's a hotter one. So I gave the other guy the hotter one. I just had the milder habanero.
I don't do hot peppers. I don't do that.
That's fine. I also did a buffalo wing challenge. We got a T-shirt.
Buffalo wings are good.
But like the atomic wing, like
was it down
atomic.
Here? Was it at Quaker Steak?
Yeah, triple atomic. Is what it's called. And you got a T-shirt.
The Quaker Steak, yes. Yeah. One of my customers had one of the T-shirts in his office.
Yeah. I'll try and remember.
Were they really hot?
Yeah.
They're bad?
Yeah. My buddy was so funny.
Did you get to drink milk after?
Yeah.
Do you drink a lot? Do you throw up?
Probably. No.
No?
No.
How long did it take to stop burning?
I don't remember. It was a while ago, so I don't remember exactly.
How many wings did you have to eat?
6.
That's it?
Mm-hmm. They're hot though, dude.
Dude.
So I take my time. I'm like eating them like regular.
I would just eat the whole freaking thing, bone and all, and just be done with it.
So yeah, my buddy's like fast, and which was smarter, but he was so much more whipped. Because I'm like, oh man, this is bad. Like the whole time, but I'm just like, I'm taking.
No, dude, I would
too long.
scarf it down.
So it was probably hotter for me taking that long.
Yeah, because exposure, like
but he's like, I need milk. But thankfully we did it outside. Because he's like, so he's sitting out there like, just pouring milk on his face. And it's just running everywhere. Oh, I felt bad for whoever's dealing with us that night. It was funny.
That's
It was worth
hilarious.
it.
How do we even get on that? You brought it up.
You know, I don't know. Cold spice. A cold deal.
Wow, we digressed quite a bit then.
Cold deal.
Yes. Okay.
Made me think of
Well,
icy
I
hot.
mentioned putting Takis in the fridge.
Yeah.
We were talking about plunder. Wow.
Yeah.
We ventured pretty far out there. That's pretty good.
All because you said
I love it.
Takis. Someone's got Takis in the
Takis
fridge.
in the fridge, man. Try it out.
That's insane.
Hey, you can go extra and put them in the freezer.
But they're not better, so there's no reason.
The experience is better. Because they're cold and hot.
I could move too.
Yeah, like, did that help at all?
Regular Takis you can't beat. So
I can't argue. They're amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just nothing
So-
nothing that can be done about that.
yeah.
The Jews were able to kill all of their enemies. Everyone else feared them. Some people even converted to Judaism because of it. You know, depending on what region or province they were in, they had some days of celebration, which is pretty cool. And then chapter 10, the last chapter in Esther's story, is
So
just about
long.
3 whole verses. It's just about the greatness of Mordecai, and Mordecai basically he became the second highest ranking person in the kingdom under King Xerxes. So like he was directly under King Xerxes. And everybody feared him. He had a great reputation and he was known throughout everywhere and just became great. And he wasn't even trying. He just hung out at the king's gate all day, every day.
Well, and then he prayed and fasted and sackclothed it up and gave some
Doesn't
good
take
wisdom.
a lot of.
Get some good.
I think if he didn't catch that conspiracy though, that plot to assassinate the king, he would have been on the pole. He would have been killed.
Probably. I mean, there could have been some other.
So I mean, it was just purely coincidental, and it's weird because Esther had nothing to do with it. Like, that was just straight up Mordecai.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
Well, then, I mean, she had to make the decision to go before the king.
But it's also crazy that she didn't tell the king that she was related to Mordecai until after being with him like 5+ years. Mm-hmm. Like
It was probably went with the.
But when the king,
But if she was related to Mordecai, then she's a Jew, and Mordecai told her.
not to tell, yeah. But at the same time, when the king accepted her as the queen, would he not want to know, like, where's your family? Where do you spend the holidays?
He would think, but it's
Like, do
just
they not?
different.
Does it not matter, like, that they had family? Like, they don't get to see them for Christmas, or
Probably not.
they don't get to see them for Jesus' future birth?
Probably not. Yeah, whatever holiday. Probably not. It's a totally different life and role.
Would you want to live back in biblical times?
No.
No?
No.
Would you keep the name Jonathan?
Yes.
You would?
Yes.
In biblical times?
Yes. It's my name. Best name there is.
For you.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't know. I think it'd be cool to visit, but I wouldn't want to stay there.
Mm-mm. I could go without visiting. I'm all right.
Plus, I like my name, but I would probably change it. You'd be like, Christian? No, what's your name? Christian. No.
Now your name's Jew.
Answer me. The king demands to know your name. It's Christian. No, not your religion. That's it. Kill him.
What other, just thinking about food challenges. What other food challenges? Have you done any?
Oh, yeah.
How many?
I did a pancake
Oh,
food
man.
challenge. Dude,
That would be painful.
no. It was unexpected and it was awesome.
How many
One
pancakes? One pancake?
pancake.
How big is this pancake?
So this is when I was in high school. I would work out. Our high school principal is a bodybuilder, so like he and I would go to Gold's Gym in the morning at like 5 o'clock before school, work out, and then go to school. And one morning, like I don't remember if it was before. It had to be after our workout because they wouldn't have been open. But we worked out, and then he took me to this breakfast place called I think it was called the Pepper Pot.
Okay.
It was in Southington, Connecticut, and they're not open anymore. They don't exist. It was the first time I had been there, and he's like, "Oh, you got to try the pancakes here. They're awesome." I'm like, "Sweet, I'm hungry." So the waitress came out, and I was like, "Oh, I want, 5 pancakes." And they both looked at me like, "No, you don't." I'm like, "No, yeah, I do. You don't know me. I can eat."
Mm.
And they were like, "Well, no, like I would start with just one."
Yeah.
I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Well, if you can eat 1 pancake, your breakfast is free." And I was like, "Okay.
I'm confused.
Can I still get 5?" And they were like, "No, it's a big pancake." So I'm like, "Okay, fine. I'll just."
Like, so they only sell this one pancake? They don't have smaller pancakes?
Dude, it was weird. I was in high school. I didn't ask questions. I'm just like, "Okay, 1 pancake."
They have breakfast and their menu is like pancake section. Mega pancake.
So
they don't have any others.
So I'm just like, "Okay, 1 pancake."
Yeah.
But they bring it out, and it's the size of a stop sign. It's like this big, and it's at least an inch thick. I mean, it is.
That sounds painful.
And when I saw it, I was like, "Now I get it. This thing is massive."
Why did you not ask questions?
What question am I going to ask? I was ready to eat
How
5 pancakes.
big is this
Because
pancake?
it doesn't matter. There's no pancake I'm afraid of. I don't care how big it is.
I know, but...
So they bring it out, and I just put butter, syrup all over it, and I'm going to town on this thing, and I start getting towards the end, and then the whole restaurant is like, watch, because it was like a food challenge I didn't even realize.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole restaurant is now watching me, kind of like the Great Outdoors when he's eating the 96er, like the steak. Like the whole restaurant is stopped. The waitress is over there watching me, and I'm like, this thing is in the bag. Like I'm not even full. So I eat the whole thing, and everyone starts clapping, and it was like, "What do I win?" And the waitress is like, "Well, I don't know. No one's ever eaten it before." So I was the first one to ever actually...
You win the pancake. It was free.
Well, I got free breakfast, and then they ended up... I was like, "Do you have a T-shirt or something?" And she's like, "No." So she went in the back, and she got a refrigerator magnet of the name of their place, which I'm sure I have somewhere. But she wrote like the date on it and all that stuff. But apparently I was the only one that ever do it. But I definitely couldn't have eaten more than 1. Like it was the biggest pancake I've ever seen in my life, and I did not expect it at all. But it was literally the size of a stop sign, like a full size stop sign, about an inch thick. It was pretty cool. I mean, I was pretty full after.
Yeah.
Because I was drinking orange juice too to like wash it down, and then that fills you up. And so that was probably the biggest food challenge I've done. But I've eaten burgers, and I don't like timed stuff, even though it doesn't really matter. I eat fast anyway. Mm-hmm. But like a huge like cheeseburger challenge or something like that, I wouldn't be afraid of it.
The size you just made, the burger was not that big.
No, I'm saying in general, if there was a burger that big. Where was the place? Wait, were you at my bachelor party? Did I know you then?
I don't think so. No.
Oh no, because I wasn't even here.
Uh-uh.
We went out for my bachelor party. We went bowling, and then we went to this restaurant, diner place, whatever, and they had a burger challenge. But the burger was like $50, but if you ate it, it was free. Mm. And you get your picture on the wall and all this stuff. So all the guys were like, "Yeah, we'll pitch in $10, to see you do it."
Yeah.
I was like, "Heck yeah, let's do this."
Yeah. And
then they said it was going to take like 90 minutes to make because they were so busy.
Yeah.
I was like, never mind.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a chance to do that one, but that was a burger. I mean, it was massive.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could definitely do that. But like spicy stuff, hot stuff, 6 wings I might be able to tolerate. I might be able to just scarf them down.
Try one day.
You get a T-shirt?
We get our matching T-shirts, yeah.
I'd do that.
We should try one day. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I can eat it fast enough.
You still gotta pay though. You don't get it for free, even if you.
What?
Yeah.
I like the ones where you get it for free
and a T-shirt.
Yeah. Or I like the team challenges too, where they'll bring out like a pizza.
So I did a pizza with a buddy too one time. That was a team one.
I like those.
We failed.
Really?
It was, I think, within 30 minutes or within an hour.
See,
or something.
it has to be a reasonable time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to have to stuff it in for 45 minutes straight. But, I mean, if you can just eat normal pace.
Yeah. However many slices we had, and then we saw the time getting close. We're like, there's no way. And then we were like sitting there. The funniest part was the end, that I remember. It's like, hey man, you gonna go out back and throw up with me? He's like, yes. So we went behind the restaurant and threw up together.
It's romantic.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
I love food challenges, though.
Yeah.
Like, they're
So
fun.
speaking of pizza, dude, I didn't even eat this pizza this week. It's been sitting here all week.
This pizza was really good.
It was good.
I like this one.
Yeah. Let me get a reminder. It's been a while.
You got it figured out now? I'm trying to compare our top two previous were the bacon ricotta fig and the seafood pizza. Obviously very different from a barbecued pulled pork with French fried onions and black plum.
No, I'm going with.
I would say I'm definitely above a 9 on this one. I would go...
I'm not above a 9 on this one.
Are you not? You lie.
I'm not lying.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's really good, though.
If it's really good, then it would be above a 9. I would give this probably a 9.4.
9.
Oh, so you're not above a 9. You're just at
Yeah,
a 9.
exactly.
All right, so 9.2 it is. Knucklehead.
What did I say that was wrong?
Nothing. You're correct. I forgot how technical you are. Again, good pizza, good story. Esther saved the day. Didn't die. Mordecai also just right place, right time, all the time. Especially if you can get in on saving the king's life, you're in. Like,
I'd say so, yeah.
the crazy thing is they didn't realize they didn't do anything for him until
Long
like
time.
a year or more later.
Yeah.
I wonder if Mordecai was bummed about that. He's like, I just saved the king's life and they did nothing? I'm going to go hang out by the gate until they figure it out.
Yeah, he didn't seem the type that is worried about that. The earliest surviving examples of drums date back to the 6th century BC. You remember last week when I was supposed to look up the drums?
Last week. Yes, last week.
6th century BC, what is that? That's about this time.
600 BC?
Yeah, so this is like 400, 300, something. Esther is.
I don't know. I don't know the timelines.
I think it's close to the 400s.
Because the books of the Bible aren't in chronological order, so it throws me off all the time.
Nebuchadnezzar was...
Except Genesis. Genesis is in the right order.
Nebuchadnezzar was like 480-ish.
Well, he was before Xerxes.
Yeah. So they had
about
drums.
3 generations before, at least.
Whatever the reason was that there was music and drums, they had drums.
So Xerxes,
Some form of
Xerxes'
drums.
party had some
Some form of drums.
drums or a drum set.
It's drums. I don't know about. Yeah,
Dude, how cool would it be if you were able to travel back and you end up like in the body of a character or somebody back in the day, and then you, like, cause I play the drums, so I would just be like, oh, check this out, and then I make a whole drum set,
Yeah.
blow the king's mind. He'd be like, yeah,
You do some like System of the Down drum
Yeah.
type. And they're like, what is this?
sorcery.
That'd be awesome. Would be even cooler is whatever they could do that would blow your mind. Because I'm sure there's things they could do that we just don't or can't. Like,
Bro, they can weave a basket and blow my mind. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I've been to Israel, and the crafts and stuff that they make out of the street, out of nothing, are like the highest level skill. And it's just like peasants people walk by and completely ignore. Just have like the best skill on the planet. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's tons of talented people out there that no one even knows or cares about, and it's a shame. So yeah, 9.2.
This is the most pizza we've eaten, also.
I put more toppings on it, that's why. It was actually hard to lift up because there's so many toppings that you just wanted to fall over.
Yeah. Yeah, usually we have more than one slice left over. Right?
Yeah. A lot of the plums fell off, though. I don't know. Good book. Esther was a good book.
That's fun.
Stay tuned. Podcast over.
Where did the king poop?